Hi.
Hi, so you should be able to see my screen and you should hear me. Can you confirm?
Yes, now we get your screen.
Okay, and probably you could hear me pretty well.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, cool, nice.
So, everyone, here is Roman Kononov. Greetings to him.
Hey guys, so nice to meet you here during this event. So let me start my presentation. Probably you could see it. Yep, all good. So let me start then. So about me, my name is Roman Kononov, and I'm an engineering manager at Uber. So here's my LinkedIn profile. So if you are interested, feel free to go there, add me to friends, and so on. So I've been managing people for last about 10, 12 years, maybe, and mostly in software development world. So everything related to this. And today I'm gonna tell you a bit about OKR methodology, let's say framework, and Scrum. So it's also framework. So they are a bit different, but at the same time, you could merge them and use them both for your software development process. So let's begin then. So let's start with the OKR. So what does it mean? OKR is objectives and key results. So just a acronym of these three words. So it's a framework for defining and tracking objectives and their outcomes. So usually, and actually, it consists of two words. So objective, this is the goal that you want to achieve. So this goal should be pretty clear, and specifically it should be pretty clear for, let's say, everyone. So any kind of people in your company or in your team or whatever. So because the clearness how you explain this and how you express this is the key point. And the key results, it's a specific measures used to track the achievement of that goal. So you should just know. So I will tell about this a bit later in details. So objective, first of all, clearly define it. It should be inspirational, it should be engaging, it should be aligned with the company strategy. So all the examples a bit later. So now just the definition and what should be inside. Also, it should be open source. So OKRs, they could be not only team OKRs, not only company OKRs, department OKR, so whatever OKR you want, but also it could be a person OKR. And those OKRs are very important, have to be available and browsable for everyone in the company. So anyone could see the details of OKRs of any other department. And that should be like a very strict rule, because this is a very huge importance here. So also OKRs, they should be stretched. So it does not make any sense to have just a very, let's say, achievable. So in terms of there is another acronym called SMART. So when you have very achievable tasks like specific, measurable, achievable, and so on. And this is not about OKRs. So OKRs should be stretched. You should not very easily achieve the goal and the objective that you have set before. So it should be something that is 60% definitely possible to done, or 80%, but not 100%. So that's why it should be stretched a bit more than you can do, a bit more that you could achieve. It should be separated from a compensation. This is very important one, because in other case, it would be not OKRs, but it would be rather KPIs, so key performance indicators instead of OKRs. So they should be detached. So whether you achieve 100% of OKRs or you do not achieve, it should not somehow related to your compensation and the salary or bonuses or whatever you do. So OKRs is not about that, and no, you should not connect them, because in other case, so like it's Itzhak Adizes, he said, just tell me what you pay for, and I will tell you what your people do. So if you connect OKRs to compensation, then don't expect that your OKRs would be stretched. So they would be achievable without any issues. And this is not about OKRs. Also, there shouldn't be a lot of OKRs, objectives per team per quarter, because usually teams are not so big. So usually it's about like 2 pizzas team, not more than 12 people, for example. It could be from 7 to 12 people. And for this team, it doesn't make sense to have a lot of OKRs. So it should be 3 or 5, from 3 to 5. And because you want this team to be very focused during the quarter. And you want this team to achieve those OKRs. If you have too many, it doesn't make sense, because in this case, you would lose focus all the time because you have too much on your plate. So it doesn't make sense. And if you have less than 3, for example, just 1 objective, it also doesn't make sense, because it's clearly just a part of your strategy, not something like OKR. Also, there's a nested cadence. So OKRs could be on different levels. So quarter OKRs, half of year OKRs, and year OKRs. So they could be nested. For example, you have one huge strategy for your year, and based on the strategy, you could define OKRs for your team. But at the same time, to reach those OKRs, you could split them into smaller pieces for half of year and quarter OKRs. And the last thing, which is related to objectives, they should be adaptable. So it doesn't mean that they are written in stone. So be agile, be flexible, and from time to time, it makes sense to review OKRs, review your pace, review your progress, and make a decision about changing them. So it's completely up to the team to decide whether you could achieve or you could not achieve something. And based on this decision, you could change your OKR or tune them or update them. So it's possible, it is doable, and it is just a common sense. The second part of this framework, it's KRs. So KRs are very different. So first of all, you should have 3-5 KRs per objective. It could be either number or milestone. So it should define the success criteria, whether you have achieved this objective or you haven't yet. Every KR should have a business value. It should represent the business value. For example, so also examples are a bit later, but I could try to explain. For example, you have objective. I want to get, let's say, half of this market in this specific country. And this is objective. It's very clear. It has business value. It's, let's say, flexible half. It also could be stretched goal. So, but it's clearly defined. It has business value. So we could split this to a couple of KRs, so key results. And for key results, we could define the size of the market, for example, in amount of customers. So it means that to gain the half of the market, you should at least gain half of the customers in terms of amount of customers, half of the, for example, the volume of, sell volume or something. So like different numbers, like financial attributes. And based on these numbers, you could define whether you have achieved it or you haven't yet. So this is success criteria. So whether you achieved all of the QRs, you could say, I achieved this specific objective. So this is like attributes or progress meters of this specific objective. So business value, and all of them should be measurable. And very important, all of these KRs should be measurable upfront. So you should, or actually not only when I say you, I mean team. So team should know what kind of key results they want to achieve. What are those key results now? So in terms of, for example, half of the market, I know what is the amount of sales in this specific region and what the amount I want to achieve in the future. So I can say for sure that the current key result is, the current number of key result is this, and I want to achieve that. So this is measurable upfront. I know what I want to achieve, and also it's limited in time. So I want to do this. I want to close this objective in half of year or in quarter. So usually they are quarterly OKRs, because for half of year OKRs, they also make sense, but it's a bit harder to predict for half of year. especially when you do software development or when you develop the product or you are a startup. So the world is changing pretty quickly, and you have to keep up with all of these changes, and that's why just follow this principle and use, let's say, quarterly OKRs. And in this case, you have to know and you have to understand what are the numbers right now and what are the numbers you want to achieve. So numbers are key results, but also it could be not only numbers, but it could be milestone. So for example, improve the user experience of customers who are using our product, who use our product. And based on this objective, so this is like objective. It has business value, but we should define this objective. I think, yeah, we could define this objective in a number of different key results. So what does it mean, improve the user experience? It means that, for example, I want to reduce the time of users spending on our landing page or in our, I don't know, some internal pages or doing some specific things in our product. So improving the user experience, less clicks or less time. This is very measurable. So now user to let's say average user who spends time on our website makes, let's say, 5 clicks to reach his goal. And I want to reduce this number to 1 click. So maybe you have heard about Amazon one-click buy. So this is exactly the same. So they just set the objective, improve the user experience, increase the amount of sales. And one of the key results, reduce the number of goals. So one-click buy. That is very clear. Okay, so why do we need this goal setting framework? So first of all, it focuses effort on a business value. So when you know for sure what you do, why you do this, and you know exactly what and why you are working on. So every person in the team, they don't just blindly do whatever you said to them before or whatever product manager put on your roadmap, on your desk, on your plate. And they know exactly why I'm working on this feature. So they know answer, and not in terms of, okay, because that guy asked me. No, nothing like this. But the right answer is because we need this to achieve the business goal. We need this to make more money, to, let's say, spend less money, or to improve the user experience and gain some money in the future, or maybe to comply with some kind of authorities compliance or authorities process. So this is about it. And every team member knows this. Transparency and a progress measuring. So for transparency, it's very important that not only your team understand what they do and why they do, but also the other teams or other managers, or like a completely third-party person from a different team in a huge company. He could go to you directly and ask, what are you working on and why are you working on this? And you could clearly explain, like, here are my OKRs, here are my objectives, and that is why I'm working on this. And that would be even clear for him. And it's very easy to measure the progress. So you could say, okay, with this objective, I have closed this and this key result, but I haven't closed this. I'm working on this, and here are like a list of tasks that I have to close before end of this quarter. So this is goal setting. It also establishes communication. So for example, if two different teams, they are working on a very similar feature, you know exactly what are they focusing on and why are they focusing on specifically on this, because you have a business objectives, they are aligned with the business strategy of the company, and you could just compare, and in case if your objectives are very close to their objectives, you could collaborate and actually deliver even more than you could just deliver by yourself, which is much better. So this is a way of communicating with other teams. Because if you just start explaining, like, I'm working on this feature that would change this this feature in this project, or I want to introduce this, it is a bit hard sometimes to even understand why are you working on this now. And what exactly does that mean? So like these questions, it's very hard to answer when you are not in context of their tasks, of their project. So that's why it's better to talk on the same language, business language. It also improves your planning process. It's easier when you have a limited set of objectives, when those objectives are very aligned with the business strategy. And it's easier to just have some plans and easier to deliver those plans and explain those plans to any kind of management. It improves your involvement and ownership. So when you explain the objective for your team members, for other team members, so usually, and actually this is kind of the rule, that all of the developers, all of the engineers, they are very smart people and they know better what to do. And they know better why we need to do this. And when you set the business goal and explain what does that mean and why we should work on this, they could share their ideas and maybe more features that could be implemented in your product to reach this business goal. So that's why it's very important and it's easy to use. So some examples: improve customer satisfaction. So this is the objective. And of course, the KRs would be, what does it mean, how we could measure the customer satisfaction. So we could do some NPS score, for example, Net Promoter Score, or we could collect some other numbers. I don't know. So whatever your ideas are, and need to make sure that we could measure and achieve this goal. So the next one, for example, improve conversion rate from 10% to 12%. So this is like a very clear business goal because it leads actually for some additional sales or for attracting more customers and also the same sales and money. Improve retention from one person to another person. So launch feature A or update feature B. So this is also should be aligned with the business strategy and should have a very clear explanation. So how does it work? So usually you have three different directions how you could get new objectives in your team. So top down, so whatever your management think you should work on, not more than 30%. Of course, there is a strategy of the company. There are some asks, external asks, other team asks. So top down, 30%, not more. Bottom top. So these are our ideas. So whatever we think could move us towards the goals and the business goals of the company. So bottom top, 60% usually. And peer-to-peer, of course, you are not alone. There are many other teams who could ask you about working on some features that are related to their features. For example, they have dependencies in your code, in your product, or you have dependencies. And you could ask them like, here's my dependency. I want you to focus on this because in this case, we could achieve this business goal. If it makes sense, let's just put this into your roadmap or list of OKRs. So this is usually how it goes. Common mistakes, too many OKRs. So when you have more than 5, I believe you won't be able to deliver even half of them. So just don't try to make too many of them. So OKRs are not features. You should not treat them as let's say, parts of your product or products. So it's business goals. No follow-up and retrospectives. So if you have delivered something, so for example, you reached your OKRs at 100%. So you should have a retrospective and you should think why this objective was not stretched. So usually it makes sense to achieve for 80%, maybe 60%, but you should have a retrospective after this and discuss and think why we have spent less or more time on this. No checkups. You should have checkups all the time. So you should have sync up meetings with your management, with other teams, and make sure that you show some progress and actually you are moving forward, that you don't have any obstacles or blockers or whatever you have. And OKRs are not a task list. Please do not do this. It's not a task list. It's a business goal at first. So Scrum process. Why is this asterisk? Because it's a bit different. So I believe all of you saw this picture. So this is like from scrum.org, as far as I remember. So this is just the usual Scrum process when you have a product backlog, sprint planning process, sprint backlog. You have the sprint itself, retrospective review meetings, daily scrums, and potentially shippable product increment. So this is like a usual Scrum process. So why do you need this? And why Scrum? So I believe you heard the same recommendation from Uncle Bob, from the previous guy on this conference. So he preferred to use either Scrum or Kanban, if I'm not mistaken. And actually I prefer to use Scrum also. So it leads you to self-organizing teams. They have a shared leadership, and you remember OKRs are also about self-organizing teams who know better what we should work on and why we should work on. So this is very close. Iterative approach. So you have increments, and those increments are easy trackable. So after each increment, you could measure your key results and check whether you move in the right way or not. You have collaboration. So collaboration not only inside your team and have all the influence inside, but also collaborate with other people, collaborate with other teams, other organizations, departments, and whatever. So OKRs will also force you to do this. Transparency, easily tracked progress. So what I just said, it's the same in OKRs. So you have a very transparent process. You have this product increments, or in terms of objective key results framework, you have progress increments in key results. And also time boxing. So usually for Scrum, it's like 2 weeks, sometimes more, sometimes less. It's up to you. And quality. So as Uncle Bob said, I'm going to refer to him more times today. So quality. So the developer should be responsible for quality, and actually you should have everything automated and high quality code, high quality product. So everyone owns the quality. So this is the team, how we look at it. So a lot of different feature teams, different roles. So we have product people, engineers, tech leads, data science analysts. We have TPMs, SRE, operations, engineers, leadership, and managers. So a lot of them. Team roles and responsibilities in terms of team. So the same as in Scrum. So team is responsible for break down the tasks, estimate the work, innovate, build, make sure it works, organize itself and its work per team agreements, and demo the results. Product owner. So in the OKR, and actually in this version of Scrum, product owner usually is a product manager, technical product manager, team lead manager, or engineer manager. So any one of them could be a product owner for this specific project. Sometimes even engineers or developers. So the product owner creates, refines the product vision, owns the backlog, decomposition and clarity, aligns product strategy and OKRs across the team. So this is important ones, because in our case, this specific guy responsible for the aligning the OKRs across the different teams. Also prioritize the work, the same person, represent the customers if you have them, and set and scores and updates the current progress for OKRs. Manager. So what manager does in this picture? So he creates tech vision and champion the tech roadmap, because beside of product roadmap, you also should have some kind of tech roadmap, which sometimes completely aligned or just copy whatever you have on a product roadmap. But sometimes there's also tech depth or some refactorings or some technical things that you want to work on. It aligns organizational objectives, remove impediments, set scores, OKRs, provides feedback, removes roadblocks, driving escalations if you need them, lead, hire, builds, on board, grow, mentor, groom, engage, and retain the team members. So it sounds like so performance reviews, team meetings, and one-on-ones. So this is specifically the people manager. So manager usually is a people manager plus maybe product owner. And this is a essence of the whole presentation, of whole today's presentation. So how does it work? So the left part, which is business vision, strategy plans, product vision, roadmaps, and business vision plus strategy plans, this is OKRs. So this the left part, including grooming and planning, these are OKRs. So the process of planning, setting objectives, inheriting them, splitting them, merging them, recognizing them, and then finally from this product vision, business vision, different strategies, different enhancement, cost optimizations, hardening, improvements, fixes, experiments, features, we prepare the list of objectives, which on the grooming planning, we will split them into sprints, into, let's say, quarter. So like M1, M2, and 3, these are months. And this is one quarter, essentially. So, and we have quarterly OKRs here. And then quarterly OKRs are split by smaller monthly goals and sprint goals. So every one, let's say one quarter and one quarterly OKRs have 6 sprints for 2 weeks each. So we just take the objective, we see QRs, we decide what kind of features, what kind of tasks, what kind of code, what kind of product we should work on, we should focus on, then plan them for 1 quarter, split them by 6 sprints, and start working on. So then it's being put into team backlog, then into team sprints, and launch product, and then iterate back. Because this is like the constant process, and it's just it's in circle. So you just repeat everything every quarter, or even even more often. So OKRs and Scrum. So OKRs, it's objective and key results, is a goal-setting framework to manage business results. Scrum is an iterative, incremental collaboration framework for managing software development teams and products. So business meets software development, let's say. And OKRs will focus the teams to deliver objectives in Agile's value-based, where Agile can be perceived as losing predictability and deliverables. OKRs will help to prioritize the backlog to deliver predefined business results, and team will iterate to the agreed OKRs. So it's like a business and the software development, how we could align and how we could use a high-level strategy to just put this strategy and split this strategy into smaller pieces step by step, and make sure that we have more predictable, but at the same time, very agile and flexible process on the bottom. So like every engineer could work in Scrum, in sprints, doing Scrum, but at the same time, everything is aligned to the high-level business goals of the company. So the question is how to start. So this is domain cycle. First of all, plan, do, check, act, and then repeat. So without starting doing just simple, so just take OKRs as a framework, try to apply to your current work, try to set some basic OKRs, try to run this one quarter or 1 month, check what happened, check what kind of issues you have, then improve it, and then repeat it. So this is the best advice that I can give here. So this is the end of the presentation, and I'm waiting for any kind of questions. So I stopped sharing my...
Questions, Roman. We have a few questions.
How organizations and small business should adopt such frameworks? Does company size matter? So I can say for sure. So let's say if you have issues with the goal setting, if you have issues with reaching the goals of the company, and if you think that OKRs could help you to set the goals in a better way, then you could try this. Because every tool, it should be applied for a specific process. It does not mean that you shouldn't just blindly copy the tool if you think that it would align, it would help you. So you could try. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, just drop it. Does the company size matter? Yes, definitely. because for huge companies, it is very, very hard to use the goal setting framework, because you would see a lot of copying, you could see a lot of duplicate initiatives running at the same time, spending money left and right. So a lot of things like this, a lot of chaos in big companies. The bigger company you have, the more such kind of issues you have. And this is it could be applied even for smaller companies. Whenever you have, let's say, 100 of people, you already started feeling such kind of issues. So you could try to apply objective key results framework and connect it to the agile that you probably have on your team level.
Thank you. We have another question from
How often do you refresh your OKR status with the team? So usually we have a couple of meetings. Let's say our OKRs are 1 quarter long, so we do plan them for 1 quarter. And inside we have, let's say, 2-3 week cadence to have internal meetings. And per quarter, we have 3-4, sometimes less meetings with our management to sync up on the current status. And also, it depends on the project, depends on the sprints that you have. Sometimes you just update all the key results after the sprint. So it's completely up to you. Just need to make sure that the team knows what and why. If they know, everything is great, and what the current state, the best way actually to have some kind of dashboard where you could just track down all the current numbers and see the results like online. How do you motivate engineers to participate in generating OKRs? So it's the same question as how do you have engineers to take part in all of this self-organization and self-organized teams? So you should just have very well motivated engineers. So just motivate them, work with them, manage them, listen to them, and then in this case they would be pretty involved into the process. So when engineers understand that they could change something in the process, when they could define the roadmap, when they are being listened, they are very motivated and they take part in the whole process. So I don't understand the question, actually.
Okay, thank you. Another question.
So actually what I was expecting, thank you, Maxime, for the question. We could discuss this later, but burn down chart, it's more about Scrum. So for OKRs, what do you use and what is the best way to track the progress? So usually you could just show, and actually OKRs are being mostly presented. So there are 2 ways of reporting. Top to bottom. So when you actually inside the team, let's say inside the team, you could show the progress in numbers and persons in something that is pretty measurable, and everyone inside the team, they understand what does it mean. For bottom up, so like when you want to show the progress to your top management, so usually you could just say whether the the completeness progress, let's say the percentage, so from 0 to 100%, because this is the easiest way. Or you could even use let's say the colors, like red, yellow, green. So red is at risk, green, everything fine, is in progress, and yellow is kind of blocked, or we have some problems here. So the easier way to report to use, it's easier to just deliver this message.
Thank you, Roman. We are really grateful. As you know, Roman was a GDG lead in GDG Bishkek. So, hi.
Actually, now I'm GDG lead in this country.
Oh, great! So thank you. You are helping to us much. Like in the past, the first you were helping us too. So,
Thank you,
bye.
Raj, for inviting me to this great meeting. So, thank you.
Thank you.